Which, your last husband?
Yes, sir.
Did they say you killed any more?
Yes,
Or
sir.
your other husband? Which other?
3 of them.
Did you?
No, sir.
Did you?
No, sir. They claimed I poisoned them.
But you say you didn't poison them?
I didn't.
But you say you didn't poison them?
I didn't.
What would you do if you got it?
I would take my daughter's children and put them all four together and try to raise them.
Thank you very much, Nanny Dawes.
Too.
It was a crisp October morning in 1954 when Dr. Schwalbein got the call that would change everything. The voice on the other end of the line was shaky, almost apologetic. A woman named Nanny Dawes reported that her husband Samuel had passed away in the night. Nothing unusual there, really. Samuel was 58 years old. He had been in and out of the hospital recently, and frankly, death was just part of the job of a small-town Oklahoma doctor. But as Dr. Schwalbein hung up the phone, something nagged at him. Something he couldn't quite put his finger on. You see, just a month earlier, Samuel Dawes had been rushed to the hospital after a severe bout of what appeared to be food poisoning. Violent stomach cramps, uncontrollable vomiting, the works. Samuel had been convinced it was something he ate, specifically a bowl of prunes his loving wife Nanny had prepared for him as a special treat. The man had been at death's door, but somehow, miraculously, he'd pulled through. Samuel had recovered enough to go home, where his devoted wife of just over a year nursed him back to health with the kind of tender care that made all the neighbors comment on what a lucky man he was. It was this sweet, plump, middle-aged woman with the twinkling eyes and an infectious giggle doting on her husband like they were newlyweds. At 49 years old, Nanny Dawes was a picture of domestic bliss, always baking, always smiling, always ready with a kind word or a hearty laugh that earned her the affectionate nickname around town, the Giggling Granny. But now Samuel was dead, and Dr. Schwalbein couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly, terribly wrong. When he arrived at the Dawes household that morning, he found Nanny in the kitchen, calmly washing dishes while humming a tune. She looked up with that same sweet smile that had charmed everyone in Tulsa, her eyes slightly red from what appeared to be recent tears. "Oh, doctor," she said in her soft Alabama drawl, "I'm so glad you're here. Poor Samuel, he went so peacefully, just like he was sleeping." And she explained how Samuel had felt well enough the night before to enjoy a nice cup of coffee, and she had made it special, just the way he liked it, and they'd sat together on the porch talking about their plans for the weekend. Everything had seemed normal, but sometime in the early hours of the morning, she had woken up to find him cold beside her. Dr. Schwalbein examined the body and found nothing obviously suspicious. Samuel looked peaceful, just as Nanny had described, but that nagging feeling wouldn't go away. Maybe it was the timing, so soon after Samuel's mysterious illness. Maybe it was the way Nanny seemed almost too composed for a woman who had just lost her husband. Or maybe it was something else entirely. But again, in standard protocol, Dr. Schwalbein made a decision that would unravel one of the most shocking cases in American criminal history. He ordered an autopsy. The results came back 3 days later, and Dr. Schwalbein had to read them twice to believe what he was seeing. Samuel Dawes hadn't died of natural causes. His body contained enough arsenic to kill a horse. And when the police arrived at Nanny's door with a warrant, they found her in the garden, tending to her flowers and humming that same cheerful tune. She looked genuinely surprised to see them, her round face creasing with confusion as they explained why they were there. "Arsenic?" she repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. But how could that be? At first, she maintained her innocence with the same sweet demeanor that had fooled everyone for so long. But as the questions became more pointed, as the evidence mounted, something began to crack in Nanny's carefully constructed facade. It started small, inconsistencies in her story about Samuel's last night. And then came the revelation that she had taken out a life insurance policy on him just months after their wedding. The investigators dug deeper, and what they found made their blood run cold. This wasn't Nanny's first dead husband. In fact, Samuel Doss was her fifth. But before we go back to where this mystery started, my dear forensic friends, I want to welcome you back to the Crime Coroner. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and I'm here to perform an autopsy on crime itself, dissecting the body language, analyzing the behavioral evidence, and uncovering the psychological DNA that these cases leave behind. If you're new here, this is where we go beyond the surface story and examine what the suspect's microexpressions, vocal patterns, and physical tales reveal about guilt, deception, and the criminal mind. Now, if you find value in this kind of forensic behavioral analysis, help me build the case for more content by hitting that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss when we crack open a new case. But back to Nanny. Her fourth husband, Richard Morton, had died just a year before, also under mysterious circumstances. When they exhumed his body, they found the same thing: lethal levels of arsenic. But the true horror was yet to come, because as investigators traced Nanny's path through life, they discovered a trail of bodies stretching back nearly 30 years. Husbands, yes, but also family members. Her own mother, her sister, and even her grandchildren. The sweet, giggling grandmother who brought cookies to church socials and charmed everyone with her warm smile had been systematically poisoning the people closest to her for decades. In the interrogation room, faced with overwhelming evidence, Nanny Doss finally broke. But even then, she maintained that distinctive demeanor that had earned her the nickname the Giggling Granny. She would confess to the most heinous acts with a smile on her face, occasionally letting out that characteristic laugh that now sent chills down the spines of anyone who heard it. The full scope of her crimes was almost impossible to comprehend, starting in 1927 when two of her young daughters mysteriously died of food poisoning. Nanny had been killing family members with cold calculation. Her first husband's mother, her own infant granddaughter, allegedly murdered with a hat pin while the child's mother drifted in and out of consciousness after giving birth. Her grandson Robert, whose life insurance policy netted her $500. Her second husband Frank, poisoned with a rat poison after he drunkenly assaulted her. Her third husband Arlie, dead of apparent heart failure that was later revealed to be poisoning. His mother, who died shortly after. Her sister Dovie, who had been battling cancer and died while under Nanny's care. Her own mother, who complained of severe stomach cramps during a visit and was dead within hours. At least 11 people, 11 human beings who had trusted her, loved her, depended on her, and she had killed them all. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of Nanny Doss wasn't the scope of her crimes. It was how she had managed to hide in plain sight for so long. She was the perfect cover for a serial killer. A middle-aged woman who looked like everyone's favorite grandmother, whose feminine nature made her automatically above suspicion in a society that couldn't fathom that a woman, especially one who looked like Nanny, could be capable of such systematic evil. Her motives were as varied as they were disturbing. Sometimes it was insurance money, sometimes it was revenge, sometimes it was simply because someone had become inconvenient But underlying it all was a twisted psychology shaped by childhood trauma and an obsession with a romantic fantasy that had turned deadly. Because when asked why she did it, Nanny would just giggle and say that she was looking for the perfect romance, the perfect love story. If a husband disappointed her, if he drank too much or cheated or simply wasn't the Prince Charming that she had imagined, well, there were always more fish in the sea. And if family members got in the way or became bothersome, and that was easily solved as well. On June 2, 1955, Nanny Doss was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Samuel Doss. She served her time in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary, where she remained the same cheerful, giggling woman who had fooled so many for so long. And she died of leukemia in 1965, taking with her the secrets of potentially even more victims. The case of Nanny Doss remains one of the most disturbing examples of how evil can hide behind the most innocent facade. For nearly 3 decades, she had been everyone's idea of the perfect woman, nurturing, caring, devoted to her family. But behind that sweet smile and infectious laugh was one of America's most prolific serial killers, a woman who had turned the very relationships that should have been built on love and trust into instruments of death. And the most terrifying part? If Dr. Shelbine hadn't followed his instincts, and that October morning in 1954, Nanny Doss might have kept killing for years to come. Her crimes hidden behind that devastating smile and that bone-chilling giggle that gave her a nickname that would haunt the annals of true crime forever: the Giggling Granny. Now we're about to analyze her body language, and you could see that, let's say that her facade was nowhere as we could have imagined it. Because the way that she behaves in this clip that we're about to watch and analyze, it's disturbing, to say the least. A couple disclaimers in here. The first one is that I haven't really analyzed this clip. I just went over it. I have not detailed it. I wanted to do it with you essentially watching. It's like a first run, like a live reaction to this. The second one is this was thanks to P. Hicks on YouTube, who, cared to save this from, from another source. So thank you, P. Hicks. So let's watch this. And let's see what's this all about.
Nanny Doss, how many girls are in the women's side at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary?
There's 31 on my side and 26 on the colored side.
So this video is already when she was in the penitentiary. They are talking about the penitentiary, so I guess that she had no reason to have, keep her facade of her smiling or giggling granny. Even so, I'm going to make an observation. I have an observation. I'm going to leave you to make your own mind, and then I'm going to tell you what I think.
Do all the girls call you Nanny?
No, so part of them calls me Mama.
Mom?
Yes, sir.
May I call you Nanny in the
That's
penitentiary?
right.
Where were you born, Nanny?
I was born in Alabama, Anderson.
Did you have a large family?
I had 4 sisters and a brother.
Were you rich?
No, sir. Farmer.
Did you work in the field?
Yes, sir.
How long?
All my life.
How old were you when you first got married?
16,
And how many times were you married?
5.
Why are you in the penitentiary now?
Oh, the claims I killed my husband.
Notice that they claimed I killed my husband. So she is still denying that she did it. I guess that she always denied that, which is interesting, as in the evidence was overwhelming. She said that the evidence in so many cases. And now she's given, I noticed that she is given the interrogator a side eye, like she doesn't trust him. Why are you interviewing me? Why are you asking these questions? What are you trying to find out?
Which, your last husband?
Yes, sir.
Did they say you killed any more?
Yes,
There's your other husband? Which other?
3 of them.
Did you?
No, sir.
How did they?
I like the way that she say, did you kill those other 3 husbands? And when she says, no, sir,
Did you?
No, sir.
you're going to see that she lowers her gaze. Here it comes. Right there.
How did they
You're gonna continue with this
say
one.
you claim say you killed her?
They claimed I poisoned them.
But you say you didn't poison them?
I didn't.
She lowered her gaze again when she says, I didn't. Notice that?
But you say you didn't poison them?
I didn't.
It's a nice tale. I would say that it's I would call it a yellow flag, not a red flag. It's she is denying something, and when she denies something, she lowers her gaze, and she has done that twice. And we are not even like not even 2 minutes into this.
At the time you were convicted, was there a lot of talk in the newspapers about that conviction?
Yes, sir.
What did they say about it?
Oh, they said all kinds of nasty things.
I think that she could be also a bit. Maybe she felt threatened by the man because she just answered yes, sir. When she said yes, sir, she lowered her gaze again.
Conviction?
Yes, sir.
Maybe she felt a bit overwhelmed or threatened.
You think they were right?
No, sir.
You still maintain that you did not poison either your last husband or any of the
I
others?
certainly do.
Manny, what would you like to have more than anything else in the world?
Well, my freedom first. And the next, I like a small TV for my room.
You like to watch television?
Yes, sir.
If you were Jeffrey Epstein, you would have had the TV in the room. I think that this is the thing. This is the kind of things that make this interrogation so creepy. It's the way that she doesn't move her head. The way that she stays in place, doesn't move, and looks at the interviewer with that side eye and lets out just a glimpse of that smile at fractions of a second. And I don't know how to describe this, how to describe the thing that I feel that this projects onto me, and I would like you to describe it as well in the comments. What do you feel when you see this face? Because we see, of course, we can imagine, yeah, the plumpness, you can imagine the giggle, you can imagine the smile, that she, watering the flowers, you baking the cakes. This is it. You can imagine this woman doing that kind of things. But even in that light, there's something so off, and that smile, something that, it's like an intuition red flag.
And the next, I like a small TV for my room.
You like to watch television?
Yes, sir.
What do you like to see?
Well, I like to see a good story. I like singing, good singing.
I notice I love a good story, good singing, like a sermon. I'm a model citizen. I am harmless.
You mean preaching?
Yes, sir.
Do you listen to preaching sermons within the prison wall?
Yes, sir.
About music?
I listen to all kind of music.
What
I
kind do you
enjoy
like?
music. Well, I
But notice how music is her favorite topic, because when she is talking about the sermons, her face is pretty much the same, but when she talks about music, her face lights up.
Do you listen to preaching sermons within the prison wall?
yes, sir.
It's neutral, talking about the sermons, but when she talks about music, this
About
happens.
music?
I listen to all kind of music.
What
I
kind do you
enjoy
like?
music. Well, I really like hillbilly music.
Oh, she really likes hillbilly
How
music.
about this rock and roll, Elvis Presley music you like?
Well, I don't feel very much about it myself.
How about the younger girls over there today?
They enjoy it very much.
Getting back to the reason you were convicted, who do you blame for that?
Myself.
Why?
Well, I didn't know anything about it, and never the attorney told me to go down and plead guilty. I just did.
Okay, that was a change in her behavior. So far, she has had some emotional reactions, and they have like the same frequency. The way that she looks at the interviewer, the way that her head hasn't changed tilt in like a couple minutes, the way that she hasn't moved, the way that her eyes move downwards with most answers. We have to be clear, it's with the most answers, even if they are negatives or positives or they are just exploring topics. But all of a sudden, when she says that, why is she there? So that there's a couple of things that just pop out.
Getting back to the reason you were convicted, who do you blame for that?
Myself.
Why?
Well, I didn't know anything about it, and never the attorney told me to go down and plead guilty. I just did.
Okay, there's a bit of a covert anger, very subtle covert anger in there when she says, well, I just had an attorney who told me to say that guilty, and I said
Wow.
that.
Well, I didn't know anything about it, and never the attorney told me to go down and plead guilty. I just did.
And right there, the way that she presses her lips, oh yeah, that is the nanny who poisoned all that people. Right there, it's just the slightest snapshot, but there it is. There you have the real Natty.
Do you think it's valuable for people to have some knowledge of the law
I certainly do.
in cases like this?
I certainly do.
Or fly.
How long would you be in prison?
Well, I spent it for life.
Would you ever get out?
I am sentenced for life, and look at her face. It's almost. I would say I'm gonna try to make some kind of. How do I do this? I'm gonna do this. Okay, I think this works. How I do this. Look at this part of her face. It's gonna be the left side of her face, and you can see some delight in that left side of her face. Right? You see it. It's really easy to spot. There's the light. I'm going to move this the other way so I cover up the left side of her face. Again, this is I'm recording this in one take. There's no editing in here, so I have to like cheat this this way. Notice the difference of expression on the right side of her face. There's pain in there. There's actual pain. Now you can see it. There's actual pain. There's actual fear in there. She fears for the consequences of her actions. So there's what is disturbing. There's two expressions. That's always interesting to spot. Something that I teach on my masterclass is that you can have two different facial expressions, so two different emotions on the face simultaneously, and that is a bit harder to spot. It's sometimes hard to spot if it's just one expression, one emotion in a flash, 1/20th of a second or something like that, one fraction of a second. But it's a bit even more difficult. But it's two different expressions in the face, and this is one of them. This is a great example. Again, this is the left side. I try to cover up most of that, especially the eyebrow. And you see that there's almost a genuine delight in there. But when we focus on the right one, there's, subtle pain. So there's a part of her. We don't know where the pain comes from. Maybe she is upset that she got caught. Or maybe, do you think it could be a regret of the murders? Always a possibility. A very slim possibility. I don't think so. Maybe she regrets that she was caught. Maybe that's it.
Oh,
What would you do if you get out?
I would take my daughter's children and put them all four together and try to raise them.
What sort of
All right. I don't think your daughter will allow you anywhere near her children.
living would you try to make? What would you do?
Well, I don't know anything except in housekeeping and farm work.
What do you do over in the women's side of the prison?
I work in laundry,
Iron?
ironing, washing.
Does that pay you any money?
No, sir. Except when I wash for the girls.
If you could say something to people on the outside, say a mother who has a teenage daughter, what would you tell her about raising that daughter?
I tell her to go to church and keep her close by.
You think love is important today?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nanny Dawes.
Too.
Oh, notice there's a smile. The smile finally came out. Oh, we need to see that smile. We need to see that smile. Oh, how lovely! How lovely! Imagine she baking cookies.
Nanny Dawes.
Oh, oh yeah. Who could say no to that smile? How can that woman be a serial killer? This is crazy. This is crazy on so many levels. I think this was a clip that popped up on my X account just today, and I decided to make this video for my Crime Corner channel just because I found it so interesting the way that she behaved, but I really hadn't paid attention until now. Let me see one thing at the beginning of the clip. Notice that at the beginning of the clip, she is way more relaxed with the interviewer in the sense of this is a bit of counterintuitive, but her head was a bit more neutral, had no tilt. Her neck, I would say that it was I would say relaxed. And her body, well, she was just between the table and the wall, so I would say that she didn't have much space to move. But as time went on, she began tilting her head away from the interviewer more and more, as in she didn't trust the intentions. I'm gonna do a fast forward of this. You can see the difference between the head tilt here and the head tilt halfway through the interview. Like, she didn't trust the guy, and that's how it remained right until the end when she realized, okay, this is finally.
You think love is important today?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nanny Dawes.
Too.
And that's when she relaxes, brings back her head to the neutral position and smiles. Again, the idea of these videos is to study the criminal mind, not only in their behavior, the body language, the way their statements don't match, the story behind their crimes, and have better insights of the darkest corners of human nature. Let me know what you want to watch more in these videos. This channel is basically getting started, and I want to know what you really want to see, and I'll be more than happy of listening to you. My forensic friends, my name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Crime Corner. Until we meet on another video, remember the most important words: much love and bliss.